Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to address the most common questions people have about Subaru WRXs, WRX STIs, and Subarus in general. I get hundreds of questions a month via my YouTube channel, via my Facebook page, via my Instagram, via Facebook Messenger. I get lots of questions from you guys and from other people interested in WRXs, STIs, Subarus, tuning, all that kind of stuff. So I thought I'd make a video addressing the most common questions about WRXs and STIs. And before we get started, guys, if you guys are interested in more WRX automotive or tuning related content, be sure to subscribe to my channel. All right, so let's start off. Question number one, what does WRX stand for? And it's amazing how many people ask this question, as I'm on the most bumpy road in the world. WRX stands for World Rally Experimental with a capital X, WRX. And then following that, what does STI stand for? STI is a division of Subaru's engineering, and they're like internal task force, and it stands for Subaru Technica International. In this video, I'm not gonna go over everything about engines and all that good stuff. I'm gonna go over the general and important questions about WRXs and STIs. The next most common question, and this might just be the most common question that I get, is WRX or STI. And I think it's what people mean is, should I buy a WRX or an STI? And the answer is they're very different platforms and you're gonna use them in very different ways. I drive a 2016 Pro-tuned WRX, not an STI. I want an STI. At the time, it didn't make sense to buy an STI. They're two completely different cars, and it sounds silly to say that, but they really are. You can buy the STI to have a lot of fun, but the STI is meant to have fun. It's designed to perform on the track. It's designed to perform time after time after time. The WRX is meant to be kind of your like in-between sports car where it can be a daily driver, but it also can perform. And like that's probably the general way of saying it. It depends on how you're gonna use the car. You might have enough money to say, screw it, I'm gonna buy an STI because I want to and I wanna have all that extra fun. But you might actually find the WRX suits your needs better. The STI is really for the full enthusiast who wants to use their car in a very performance-minded way. The next most common question I get is, should I get an automatic or a manual WRX? The STI is only offered in manual. Now, guys, they do offer a CVT option for the WRX. If you want to see more information on that, be sure to look through the videos on my channel, because prior to my 2016 manual, I had a 2015 CVT Limited, so I've had both cars. Having both cars gives you some valuable knowledge because I can tell you which one I prefer and which one I think that you're gonna prefer. So there's a couple things you need to ask yourself. If you live in an urban setting and you don't want to shift a lot and deal with all that crap, the CVT might be for you. If you're interested in just a performance WRX and don't want to have to deal with all the hassle of shifting and you don't plan on tuning the car, the WRX CVT might also be for you. But ultimately, it's going to come down to preference. Don't listen to anything people have to say about the cars. They're essentially the same car. The WRX CVT has a few issues with the transmission, but if you treat it well, it'll treat you well. And ultimately, go in and just drive them. Go to a dealer, be like, I want a WRX, but I don't know if I want a manual or a CVT. And if you can't drive a manual yet, have the guy or girl take you out on a drive just to understand what you're getting into. They'll be more than willing to do it. They're making a sale out of you. If you want a WRX, you want a WRX. So it's really all preference. I do recommend, if you plan on doing engine modifications, moving to the manual and taking the negatives or positives, however you look at them, and getting a manual WRX. To follow that question up, the next question is the automatic faster than the manual or vice versa? Is the manual faster than the automatic? Us manual owners, I get to say that now, us manual owners, but you guys are gonna kind of uproar in what I'm about to say. But if you look at it stock to stock, manual versus automatic, in most situations, the automatic is gonna be faster, and that's with most drivers. Now, I know some of you guys are race car drivers out there and you drive for NASCAR and all that good stuff. You might be faster than shifting and be able to manipulate the car differently, but I'm just saying, and assuming you don't want to ruin your clutch, but you know, regardless, I'm just saying, having owned a WRX CVT, they always are a little bit different from each other, but my WRX CVT, when I was stage nothing, when I wasn't tuned, was probably a hair faster. I did some pulls against people with manuals, and it was a hair faster, and it's just shifting time. It has nothing to do with the car. If you're in the like SI mode on the or the S Sharp mode on the WRX CVT, or just the S mode with the launch control, you're gonna be a hair faster, and I hate to say it, but it's super true, and there's nothing we can all do about it. We just have to know it's true. Where that changes, guys, though, is if you tune the car and you can do things like that. And you can rip the car. I mean, I'm on a 30, so I don't want to go more than 50. I mean, 30. You guys know what I mean. All right, some more common questions. What is rod knock? What is detonation? What is ringland failure? Questions that everybody has, WRXs and STIs, want to know. So, what is ringland failure? Or I guess, what is rod knock? Rod knock is when you have detonation. What is detonation? Detonation is where, so imagine you have, and I did a video about this before, and because I was just talking kind of generically, I was saying up and down for the piston. It's really side to side because it's a boxer engine. But regardless, wait, let me sneak through this yellow light. But regardless, basically what's happening is you've got your piston, the gas goes in, the fuel goes in, it explodes, it fires. That explosion that pushes your piston back, which is what generates power and moves your engine. And you guys know what I mean. Look at the other video if you want an in-depth description. But basically you have a detonation that pushes the piston, right? Basically, you have a combustion cycle, so you're combusting fuel, you're pushing the piston back, and it's cycling, and it's just cycling and doing that, and that's how you move forward and create power in your engine. What a detonation event is when you have that primary explosion, and as your piston is moving back, you have a secondary explosion, and it moves the piston off track, and it can hit the sidewall, and bad things can happen. So that's what rod knock is, or detonation. Rod knock, you can actually hear it because you have a secondary detonation. You have another explosion happening in your combustion cycle. Now, ringland failure, what is it? I'm going to throw up a little bit of a diagram here. So you've got the crown of the piston, and then you have your ringlands, or your compression ring and oil control ring, or compression rings, oil control rings. There's two and then one. What ends up happening when you have a detonation event or rod knock is you have that secondary explosion, and the piston ends up hitting the sidewall of the sleeve, the cylinder sleeve, or ends up kind of like deviating its course as it's firing back, and it just can be a small deviation, and it actually damages your rings around your piston head. You can also just have damaged rings in general. There can be too much pressure buildup, and that first ring can fail. Both happen, but what's more common is you have rod knock. The piston deviates in its progression, in its compression cycle, and then that damages your ringlands, and that is ringland failure. And then those little pieces of those rings can get cycled through your engine, as well as oil can pass through and particulates can pass through, and it's just bad stuff. And it ultimately will cause engine failure if you don't catch it, fix it, or understand what's happening, and you might still have an engine failure event. Both are bad things. Next on the list, and this is a question that I get asked all the time, is how much do I pay for car insurance for my WRX? So I've got two cars, fully insured in Massachusetts, one of the more expensive states to insure your cars in, especially because I live in the Boston area. I basically live in Boston, I live right outside Boston. So I pay a higher insurance rate. That being said, I have this car and a 2009 Mazda 3. They know this car has some modifications. I pay a little bit more, so I am covered. My deductibles are the state minimum, so they're like $150 or $200 or something. You can't go to zero for your collision and comprehensive. Everything else is the highest it can go, and I pay $131 a month for my insurance for both cars. I get a little bit of a discount because I have two cars. I think when I just had the one car, I was paying like a little bit less, like 124 or something like that. So I have no points on my record. I've never gotten a speeding ticket, knock on wood. I hope I don't get one. I was in an accident when I was a kid and had half a point, but it expired. I hydroplaned and hit a sidewall, and because I called the cops, a cop showed up, and then I got half a point, even though nobody else was involved, which was really stupid. And yeah, exactly. So the last question that I want to address as it gets super sunny is the WRX a good tuner's car? Because I get a lot of people that ask me, I want to buy a car that I can build and make a lot of power on. Is the WRX or the STI a good car to do it? Now, I definitely have to say the STI is a great car to do it, and the WRX is also a great car to do it. Depends on what your goals are. If you're looking for a high-powered daily, like I don't really have because I only drive mine on the weekends, a WRX is a great option. Now, if you're looking for a weekend warrior that's tuned and got good power, an STI is a great option. Or if you plan on driving it competitively or having fun that's like really intense, an STI is a great car, and I might go to the STI myself. Fight me, guys. It has the largest aftermarket tuning community, modification community. Challenge me on that. I bet you lose. So there's an immense amount of support, and I think that support is everything. That's what counts when you look at tuning communities and tuners that are out there and understanding the engine and the platform and everything good about it, and that's what defines, is it a good tuning car. So you could also get a lot of power out of it stock, and you throw a J-pipe and an intake on, and you're like me, and you're freaking flying. So that's my 2 cents. And the stupid sun. So this sun is saying it's time to check out. That being said, there is going to be a part 2 on this video because I get asked a lot of questions, and these were more of the general questions, and I'm going to get a little bit more specific about the platform for part 2. That being said, if you enjoyed this video and you stuck all the way through it and you have more questions about WRXs, STIs, or Subarus, or just general questions about tuning and performance cars, drop them in the comment section below or email them to me if you'd like to remain anonymous, because sometimes you want to remain anonymous. I could say that 100 times and screw it up 70% of the time. But there should be no shame in asking questions, because questions is learning and education is great, and knowing more about these cars and the car community is just an awesome thing to be able to do. So that being said, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope I was helpful, and I hope I helped some of you guys find some passion in WRXs and STIs, and I am home, so I'm going to check out. Have a great day, guys.